Test 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Test 1 2 3 1 2 3 1.
2. 1, 2, 3. Check. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Check, check. 1, 2. What's happening, Dinah? How's everything? 1, 2. Pretty good. Just getting our audio all situated. Okay. Well, I got other things to do.
Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It might be low on the board. Just as a heads up, I don't know what.
Good evening. This is the public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget, and this meeting will come to order, and I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Barros.
Here.
Ms. Cadillo. Mayor DiMaria. Here. Ms. Lambert.
Present.
Mr. LaMonica. Mr. Mangan.
Present.
Mr. Marcus.
Here.
Mr. McLaughlin. Ms. Sarni.
Here.
Madam Chair.
Present. We have 7 members present. We have a quorum.
Student Rep. Dinah Lewis.
Thanks, Donna. We do have a quorum. If we could all stand, please stand and salute the flag. Please allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Mr. Mayor DiMaria?
I think we all know the unfortunate news of the passing of Walter Cadillo, who's been a long-time employee of the school system. I'd ask that if we could all stand in a moment of silence for Walter and his family at this time.
Absolutely.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Ms. Lambert?
I would like to ask if the committee could have a moment of silence for former student Maggie Charbonnier. She was also a former paraprofessional educator with Everett Public Schools, most recently with Malden, and just to express her family's sentiments that, if we could do a small act of kindness in the name of Maggie, if we could all be more like Maggie, the world would be a better place. So if we could take a moment of silence.
Absolutely. With that, we will begin the public hearing. Who wants to read this? Do you want me to? Oh, okay. So the Everett School Committee, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 38N, will hold a public hearing on the subject of the proposed fiscal 2023 budget on Monday, April 25th at 6 p.m. So,
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we
open
open
it
up
up.
the public hearing.
A second.
Okay, as this is a public hearing, I'm going to ask 3 times. 2 different questions, but the first question is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of the fiscal year 23 budget? I will ask again. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of the fiscal year 23 budget? Seeing none, I'll ask one more time. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of the fiscal year 23 budget? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion from the floor. Oh, okay. Now we have to do the other part. Is there anybody that would like to speak against the fiscal 23 budget? Is there anybody that would like to speak against the fiscal 23 budget? Is there anybody that would like to speak against the fiscal 23 budget? Hearing none,
Madam Chair, move to close public hearing.
Second.
motion is made and seconded to close this portion of the public hearing, and I would ask for a motion to adjourn the budget hearing only.
So moved.
A second.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn the public hearing on the budget only. All those in favor?
Madam Chair, before we do that, we have to adjourn, we have to move it to the regular meeting.
We have another section of the public meeting.
Oh, okay. No, just saying for that particular item. Do we have to make you said to adjourn, but would the item be to move
gonna
it
make a
to
motion
the
to
regular
send
meeting of the school committee?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Move it to the regular,
It's already on the agenda.
no, I know that, but I know it's on, it doesn't mean it's on, if it's, what happens
Okay.
is, if it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
voted on properly,
Mm-hmm.
it can't be addressed at the regular meeting, even though it's on the agenda.
Right. Okay, motion is made. Do I have a motion and a second?
A second.
Motion is made and seconded to move the budget that's been submitted to the regular meeting of the school committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to adjourn. We have a so adjourn this portion of the public hearing. At this time, we have a second public hearing. But please know, we have adjourned from the public hearing on the budget. So again, up next is the public hearing on school choice. The Everett School Committee, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 76, Section 112B, will hold a public hearing on the subject of school choice on Monday, April 25th, 2022. Immediately following the public hearing on the FY23 budget in the Everett High School library. Okay, so we're going to ask for another roll call.
No, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we open it.
Waive the,
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we don't roll call, just making a motion till we open it up to school choice to a public hearing.
A second.
motion is made and seconded to open this up to a public hearing on school choice. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. So I'm going to ask again 3 times. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of school choice? Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of school choice? I jumped ahead of you a little. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of school choice? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. I'm going to ask 3 more times the same question, but a little different. Is there anybody who would like to speak against school choice? Is there anybody who would like to speak against school choice? Is there anybody who would like to speak against school choice?
Madam Chair, seeing none, I'd like to, that we make a motion to close the public hearing on school choice.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded to close the public hearing on school choice. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we refer this to the regular meeting of the school committee at 6:30.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor of moving this to the regular meeting that's going to proceed immediately following, this is the school choice piece. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Right now, that concludes tonight's...
I'm sorry, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, at this time, all those in favor of closing the adjourning of the public hearing?
Aye.
Opposed? No, I don't hear anybody, so this concludes tonight's public hearing. And now, I will convene the regular meeting of the Everett School Committee. Roll call vote.
It says right after.
Yeah. Okay.
Mike, I can't find my calendar.
Mr. Barrows.
Here.
Mayor DiMaria.
Here.
Ms. Lambert.
Present.
Mr. Mangan.
Present.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes, here.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Present.
Ms. Sarni.
Here.
Madam Chair,
Present?
and Student Rep Dinah Lewis.
Here. Okay, so as we have already pledged allegiance to our flag, could I have the superintendent read the next item on the agenda?
Yes, item number, Roman numeral 3 is the reading of the records, and item number 1 is April 5th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading and place on file.
Second that motion?
Motion is made and seconded to waive the reading and place on file the reading of the records. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Madam Chair, will make a motion to open public comment?
Motion is made and seconded to open this up to this school committee meeting up to public comment. I will ask again 3 times. Is there anybody here that would like to participate in the public comment portion? What? I want to. Is there anybody here that would like to participate in the public comment portion? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion
I'll make
to
a motion to
close.
close public comment.
Motion is made and seconded to close that portion of the meeting up, and Madam Superintendent?
Thank you. So we'll move on to Roman numeral 5, which is the report of the superintendent, and item number 1 is the superintendent's update. Because we had hearings this evening and have such a packed agenda, I'll be saving my typical update for next week's meeting. At that meeting, I look forward to sharing with you all information about last week's Acceleration Academies, our library project, and several other exciting things that we have happening around the district right now. So I will move on to item number 2, which is the matter of the school department's fiscal year 2023 operating budget in the amount of $103,609,294, plus $4.5 million for special education transportation and city chargebacks in the amount of $27,470,368. This evening's item is an opportunity for anyone who has any additional questions, comments, or clarifications regarding the budget.
And we should vote on it, too, right?
That's up to you guys.
Does anybody have any,
Make a motion for favorable action on item number 2 as presented by the superintendent.
motion is made and seconded. Do we have to suspend any rules for this monetary matter? I know at the city council, anytime they, no, okay. All right, motion is made and seconded for favorable action on item number 2. Clerk will call the roll.
Mayor DiMaria.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. 7 yeas, 0 nays. 7 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed the FY 2023 operating budget. I would entertain a motion for reconsideration.
So moved, Madam Chairwoman. I'll make that motion.
Motion is made for motion has been made and seconded for reconsideration. All those in favor of reconsideration? Roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Mr. Barros.
No?
Mayor DiMaria.
No.
Ms. Lambert.
No.
Mr. Mangan.
No.
Mr. Marcus.
No.
Mr. McLaughlin.
No.
Ms. Sarni.
No.
Madam Chair.
No.
8-0. No reconsideration.
We have 8 now? Oh, yeah, that's right. 8 in the affirmative, not 0 in the negative. We have failed in reconsideration. If I could have the superintendent read the next order of business.
Yes, thank you. Item number 3 is matter of participation in the school choice program by Mass General Law, Chapter 76, Section 12B. I do respectfully ask that you vote to not participate in the school choice program as we have done in the past. As you already know, we do already have an overcrowding issue in our schools, so we would like to continue to not participate in this program at this time.
I'll make a motion not to participate.
Motion for favorable action.
Second that motion.
Motion is made and seconded for favorable action. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Barros.
Yes.
Mayor DiMaria.
No.
He said favorable action.
No.
What's a
would be-
favor action? Then it's no. It was a favor action to your motion. Oh, it never second.
Yeah.
That's my favor.
His vote is no.
Yeah. So then it's no. I thought that was my colleagues.
Mayor DiMaria.
No.
Ms. Lambert.
No.
Mr. Mangan.
No.
Mr. Marcus.
No.
Mr. McLaughlin.
No.
Ms. Sarni?
No.
Madam Chair?
No. 8 in the affirmative, negative, 2 in the affirmative. Oh, no, there's none. 2 absent, okay. Sorry.
Madam Chair will make a motion to reconsider item number 3.
Do I have a second? Motion is made and seconded to reconsider item number 3. All those in favor?
Roll call, please.
Roll call vote?
Mr. Barrows?
No.
Mayor DiMaria?
No.
Ms. Lambert?
No.
Mr. Mangan?
No.
Mr. Marcus?
No.
Mr. McLaughlin?
No.
Ms. Sarni?
No.
Madam Chair?
No. 8 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. You have so failed to reconsider. Superintendent Taliani?
Thank you. Item number 4 is to request approval of a contract with Elliott Community Human Services Incorporated. I am asking for your approval on a new 3-year contract with Elliott Community Human Services Incorporated. We do have Special Education Director William Donahue with us tonight to answer any questions you may have about this contract and the following item, the contract for Stepping Stones. But before we do invite him to join us, if the body so pleases, I want to provide just some basic information about this request. We are currently working under a 1-year extension with Elliott, which provides a wide range of critical services for our students. This includes individual counseling, group therapy, case consultation, family consultations, crisis intervention, and psychological testing. The new contract will run from 2022 through 2025, ensuring the continuation of services that are being provided to our students. The cost to the Everett Public Schools is $765,000 annually, with a 3% yearly increase for salary raises. A total of 14 Elliott clinicians will be assigned to the Everett Public Schools, and that's up 1 from the 13 that we currently have. The breakdown of the contract is $630,000 for the clinicians, $70,000 for a clinical supervisor, and $65,000 for testing. The contract extension represents an increase of $225,657, which is due to several factors. The first being an increase in base pay to recruit qualified counselors. The second being the addition of the supervisor position to oversee the clinicians and serve as the lead during mental health crises in the district. The third being the addition of the 1 counselor to help with increased caseloads at 2 of our elementary schools in specific. And last, an increase in state-mandated special education testing, including some of the required student assessments for 3-year reevaluations.
I have Ms. Lambert first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just urge my colleagues to support this contract. As you may have heard, in the wake of the pandemic, or, if it's still ongoing, who knows at this point, but our students have struggled significantly with mental health challenges, and the current waiting list for mental health services outside of school is 3 to 6 months. And that issue compounds over time. So the more time that lapses between when you need help and when you actually get it, the issues only get worse. So to be able to provide this service to our students, and especially throughout the pandemic, they were phenomenal providing remote services. And now being able to expand that, I think at this time we all have seen how critical that need is. So I would make a motion to approve the contract.
Ms. Sani?
Thank you. I am in favor of this, but I just want to ask a couple of questions. One, does the insurance people have covering this at all? Like, because everyone have to have health care. So do they get reimbursement for this service through health insurance at all?
So if I would respectfully request that we invite up Mr. Donahue to answer any questions about the specific.
Okay, I'll make a motion to invite Mr. Donahue.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to invite Mr. Donahue to come before us. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Mr. Donahue, welcome.
Thank you. I am in favor of this, just so you know. My question was, does people we all have health insurance. Do we get reimbursed through our insurance at all for any of these costs?
No, some of the costs are covered under Mass Health for students who aren't on an IEP, but any Medicaid costs or anything, we don't get reimbursed for.
We know. The other question is, are these positions here, are they here in the school at all?
Yes, they're in school every day.
So these positions are here?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to know. Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
Any other questions to Mr. Donahue?
Move with, excuse with customary thanks.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor?
I may have some for the next piece, if he wants to stay there.
Okay, if you wanted to hang around, that'd be great for us.
Move for favorable action then.
Did you want to speak?
Yes, I just wanted to on Elliot and awesomely, the organization. Can't say enough about them, what they do for
Good to hear.
families in the city of Everett during the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, after the pandemic. They're a resource that we use in City Hall every day to support our residents in the community. So I just want to thank Liliana, her whole team, for everything they do. Keith Wales and the whole group. They're just wonderful people.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion that's been made and seconded for favorable action. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Mayor DiMaria.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Magin.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
8-0.
8 in the affirmative. We don't have anybody that's opposed. The matter passes. Superintendent, if you could read the next order of business.
Thank you. Yes, item number 5, thank you, is a request approval of the contract with the Stepping Stones Group, formerly known as Futures. Similar to the previous item, I'm asking for the school committee to approve a 2-year service contract with options for extensions with Futures Education, LLC, or a Stepping Stones Group company. Stepping Stones provides our students speech, language, physical, and occupational therapy. Stepping Stones professionals work in all of our schools and are integral to the extended school year program that Mr. Donahue's department oversees. The district has long utilized a 2-year with options model with this provider, which was, again, formerly known as Futures. District-wide, we are budgeting $1.9 million for the 2022-2023 school year, which represents an 11.8% increase, a 4.8% of which is due to additional speech and physical therapy services for our students. Our Stepping Stones budget for the Devon School is $155,284, which includes a standard 7% increase. We do not need additional services at the Devons at this time, but we are contracting for $74,114 in services for our extended school year programming. This is a 14.6% increase, due in large part to the fact that we now offer summer services at all of our K-8 schools and not only at the Madeline English where we used to previously. I would respectfully ask that if we're going to talk in any detail about this contract, that we avoid referencing any particular schools or individual situations about the specific services, just out of caution for privacy issues.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Donahue, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you. They were our employees at one time, right? Most of these employees prior to us going to Futures?
The current staff might not be, but anybody, but it would have been maybe 15 to 16 years ago that we went with Futures.
And we've been with Futures for 15 years?
Yes.
That's when we outsourced it?
Yeah, I was a teacher at the Cavarian at the time.
Been 15 years?
Yeah.
Good. Do you think it's better to, have you analyzed bringing it back in-house or having Futures do it? Have you talked to the staff?
Yeah, we have. We analyzed basically about 13 companies. We analyzed like the Department of Labor average rate for speech people, whether it be in nursing homes or hospitals. We were looking at it quite a bit over February vacation. The issue I have, the most important thing to me right now, is to keep the current staff that I have working. If I discontinue our contract with Futures, then I get into a 24-month no-compete with that entire staff.
That's if we pass this contract.
That's if I stop working with Futures.
Well, and I know I see item 6 that
Yeah.
says that in item 6. So the prior contract had that in there
Yes.
already, and the school committee voted for that prior?
Yes.
So we
It's been in the contract since. It's standard to any contract. I looked at one that we have with Reliant. I looked at one that we have with PBS.
Yeah.
It's standard in there because they handle the recruitment, the training, and the HR for all those people, so they're technically their employees first. If we were looking to do something like that, that's a meeting we would start having to have with them in September, October of next year to start working out which employees maybe we would bring in-house and what employees we would still keep with them.
It's a nice little clause they have in their contract, huh?
They're in every one of them. I've read all of us. Because, I mean, they really do a lot to get the employees in.
Yeah.
So if we decide not to work with them anymore and they go to other districts, if we're taking their staff, then they lose their ability to staff other districts. So it's something we run into. So there's a part of the decision right there.
Yeah.
And I think
I know these therapists work with children for, every day for the entire school year, and for some kids for their entire school history year, right?
Yeah. And in the
Is there a
summers,
big
too.
turnover with their staff, or do you see their employees staying more than like?
We see a good amount of their employees staying. We see a lot of turnover in the assistants, which you would see, but we still see a good core of people staying, especially just, I can really think off the top of my head, like 10 to 12 good people that have been here a consistent amount of time. And especially with the way the last 2 years have gone, they're some of the most valuable people we have.
I agree.
Because they've tracked it and stuff. So that was an issue we ran into, is keeping the staff that we have in Everett right now means more to me than really anything else, just for continuation of services, for understanding of our kids. And they're still chasing down services that might have been missed because people weren't in school and everything like that. So the ideas they brought to me over the last 2 years and what they tried to do with telehealth, like they've been a huge part of any success that we've had.
Yeah. How's the new company that took over Futures?
I like them. It's
Oh, you
still
do?
the same. It's the same people with Futures. They just took over Futures, but Futures still operates out of Springfield.
Okay.
So I'm still meeting with the same people, still negotiating with the same people. It's just that now they're under that umbrella.
And then when you say the turnover with the assistants, are they the therapists?
Yeah, you can have a speech language professional, you can have a physical therapist, you
So
can
you
have
see
an
turnover
OT.
with them?
No, with the CODAs and the SLPAs. So you have people that are an OT, PT, or an SLP, and they have a master's degree and they have a license, but working with them as well, you might have assistants with either an associate's or in a master's program.
Okay, you see them
So you
moving
see
on.
it anything, yeah.
Okay.
But like anything else, you have a little turnover, but.
You talk to the therapists on a daily basis or a weekly, monthly basis? Do you check in with them?
I've talked to a few of them, especially about one of the stipends at the bottom of the page that has the next year's rate and the rate after. I wanted a stipend for the 2 people that the Futures Group identified as overseeing the other therapists. So that's in the contract as part of it.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
I have Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Madam Chairwoman, not understanding a whole lot about this Stepping Stones group, to be very truthful, but the mayor alluded to that sort of nice wording in their contract, if you will. I don't know if it's worth giving them a 1-year contract, as we did. I know Elliott just came off a 1-year extension, right? Do we give them a 1-year extension in good faith and look at that as a possibility? I don't know if that's the superintendent can talk about that, but I don't know if that's something that we could do to amend this by giving them a 1-year instead of a 2-year contract.
I think that's a mistake, with all due respect. The biggest thing that I'm fighting for right now is services for the kids. If I look at it, I would rather sign the 2-year and then start having meetings with them in the fall, saying that maybe I want to bring some people back in district.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the contract now, there's wording in it to have a discussion around bringing people back if that discussion is warranted.
Yeah.
And we've actually looked at this company and using different parts of the company as well to help us out with supports in other areas.
Okay.
So we could spend the same money a different way while also bringing some of the key components or key people within it back into the employees of the district. So if you want to change from an outsourcing to bringing it back in, it's usually a 2-year kind of run to get it done.
So what do we, I'll yield the floor to my colleague. I'm just wondering what we lose by doing 1 year, and then in 1 year, maybe we extend it for another year, and that's okay. I'm not sure.
The honest thing I'm worried about right now is not getting a contract settled and then being set for the next 2 years.
But maybe we don't want to be settled for the next 2 years. Maybe we want in 1 year with the clause to do an additional year. I'm not sure. I yield the floor to my colleagues.
Mr. Mann?
No, I trust Mr. Donahue.
In my opinion,
yeah.
right now,
But I-
for the
if-
next 2 years, I want the same group in place, the employees and the supervisors.
I would just like to see
Yeah.
the part you trying to bring, if it's feasible. You know, if the superintendent believes it's feasible and you all believe it's feasible, to bring more of those services, those employees, back in-house as our employees again.
Yeah, and one of the things that's kind of come up is that, so say we're spending $2 million with them next year. This Stepping Stones group has what's called behavior techs, additional supports and different things to bring in that we could supplement services with and bring in emergency services and coverage and different things for vacations. So we could spend the same amount of money through them, but maybe a couple of the staff come back in and work with us in district. A lot of districts do a hybrid approach where they have some of their own employees and then they use a company to fill in the rest.
Sure.
So-
Sounds good. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right, yeah.
I'd make a motion to excuse Mr. Donahue. and
Second
accept
that
many
motion.
thanks.
Motion is made and seconded to excuse Mr. Donahue.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Move for
Mr.
favorable
Donahue, you're
action.
excused.
Second that motion. Favorable action.
On the motion?
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask for an amendment on Section 1, Item I, and just remove the years. This refers to the distance learning commitment, and it references the 2021, that always is a tongue tie. I would like to see that piece stay in place. I hope that it never comes to fruition. However, I think it's an important piece just to have in the contract if something were to happen and they were to have to go remote, and just remove the years in that item.
A second.
Motion is made and seconded to remove the years
On Section 1?
on Section
Item
1.
I.
Item 1, Section 9.
Section 1, Item I.
Item I. I'm getting older. Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion has been made. Now we have a motion.
Favorable action.
Motion has been made
I'll
and
second.
seconded for favorable action. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Barros.
Yes.
Mayor DiMaria.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni. Madam Chair.
Yes. 8 in the affirmative. We don't have anybody opposed. The matter has passed. The contract has been approved.
Thank you. Item number 6 is to request approval of the FY22 capital improvement projects. We first introduced this topic at our last meeting, and as a follow-up, we have prepared for you a complete rundown of the costs, which you have before you, as well as a list of the projects that are most pressing. It is my hope that you will vote to approve our entire capital improvements plan so that we can forward it to City Hall and City Council. However, at minimum, we are requesting approval of those capital improvements that need to occur in the short term in order to prepare for next school year. And those are the items listed under FY22 on the spreadsheet. It's 2 items, which is to reconfigure the central storage at Everett High School and to reconfigure the health center space at the Cavarian.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Madam Chairwoman, through you to Madam Superintendent. Madam Superintendent, I know that the question was asked very recently, but do we have an answer regarding the Powland School ADA compliance matter that we discussed during the capital improvement plan presentation, whether or not we're going to be able to expedite a quicker date for that?
I'll make a motion to bring Mr. Obransky before us, so perhaps he can answer us.
A second.
Second that motion.
Okay. Motion is made and seconded to invite Mr. Obransky up to appear before us. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Nobody? Okay. Mr. Obransky, welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Obremski.
Good evening.
I believe you heard my question, correct?
Yes, as a matter of fact, so the school committee members that weren't there, no, we had a meeting today, the superintendent, myself, Mr. Shaw, and a few others with the mayor, the chief financial officer, Eric Demas, and the mayor's chief of staff, Erin Devaney, on the additional space issue we had previously been talking about. And it came up, one of my questions was to try to move from fiscal year 25, where the city now has it placed, to make the Poundland School fully ADA compliant. And I want to let everybody know at home and the school committee members that weren't here when we did a lot of work at the Poundland. The reason it needs to be made fully ADA compliant is because of the amount of work that was done to the building. So it's a good thing. We updated all the air conditioning, windows, new gymnasium if you've been up there, the library. It's because of the amount of work that the school committee did with the city council and with the mayor and the chief financial officer that we ran into this problem. It's a good problem to have because of the work that was done to the building. But unfortunately, at some point, we need to do that. And we did have a conversation today to try to move it to fiscal year 23. The chief financial officer, Eric Demas, did say in his conversations with the mayor, he has meetings quite frequently about the budget for fiscal year 23 and about capital improvement plans, not just the schools, but the entire cities with the mayor. And he will have ongoing discussions about trying to get that move up. He didn't promise anything, but he would do his best to try to see if we could get it in the fiscal year 23. So that conversation did take place today. And I know there was another question at the last meeting in regards to the modulars at the Gavarian. And I did place 3 packets in front of you this evening. One is the total cost of the project, which is a little under $19 million for all of them. Approximately a 10 or 11 page document with the changes or questions you had since the last one, and a lengthy document with all the updates on the capital improvement. But in regards to the Gavarian modulars, there would be 8 typical classrooms that could house between 25 and 30 students. I did talk to Mr. Alex Norman about this, that would also have restrooms and also have a few offices in them. And I did get the pricing that I previously did not have for the library at the Lafayette School, in the offices, in the storage in the Whittier School. That's in your packet. And previously, one of the items in early fiscal year 23 was to replace the chiller at the Gavarian. And I do have good news. That chiller has already been replaced, so that item was removed. But I did have a conversation with E&E, and we do have to replace the chiller at the English school, which I put in fiscal year 26. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions about any of the information in front of you this evening.
Ms. Sani, do you have a question of Mr. Obremski? Well, you still have the floor. Go ahead, go for it.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Madam Chairwoman, that brings me to my point of why I asked Mr. Obremski that question, which is if we're going to approve just the 2023 capital improvement plan, do we want to include that project into it? I'm okay with voting for the entire project as presented, but if we're going to do just, as the superintendent said, this coming year's capital improvement, I don't know if we want to add that into the cost that we would approve this evening, so that if the possibility does arise that we can move forward with the ADA compliant of the Poundland School, the money is allocated there. I'm not sure if superintendent has a thought on that, but I don't know if we should amend it by adding that project just for safety, not for safety, but for proactive approach.
I have, Ms. Sani, do you have any questions of Mr. Obremski?
Yes. Mr. Obremski, you mentioned 25 to 30 students only?
In each room. In each room. So there's 8 rooms that would be added, 8 classrooms in total that could house 25 to 30 per classroom.
Okay, and that's going to cost roughly about $2 million for the modular?
Roughly about $2 million to purchase them and put them in place.
Okay. And so what are we looking at, a total of, if you did 25, I'm sorry, from the chair, would you be looking at, so that's only going to give us 200, it's only going to, so it would house 200 students?
Approximately 200 students, but if you know, the Gavarian was built for around 650 students. Presently has an occupancy that fluctuates between 930, 950 students in that range. So it would alleviate a lot of the overcrowding in the George Gavarian School.
Ms. Sani?
Just had a question. So have we looked into other buildings that the city has to utilize yet? I know there was a talk about trying to see, we have the Pope John, we have, is that,
I don't know if the superintendent wants to jump in, or the chair or the vice chair, but we had a lengthy conversation. Like I said, a few of us in the chair and the vice chair were there today with the mayor and some members of his staff in regards to additional spacing for next year. And it's going to be an ongoing conversation, so we don't have a full answer yet, but we are all on the same page on this issue, that we do need additional space. The sooner the better. So we will continue the conversation and look at some of the space areas that we discussed today. I don't know if the superintendent wants to add anything to that.
Superintendent?
No.
Okay.
to put up $2 million, I mean,
But actually, I do have one question. We were just saying for FY22, for the preparation for next school year, is just the Cavarian health space and the high school health space, not the additional modulars you were just talking about that are embedded in later on in the capital improvement plan, correct?
Well, if you look, a lot of those are the two major ones are the ones that you mentioned, the reconfiguration of the space in central storage and the CHA space. But if you look at the overall capital improvement, there's probably up to 10 items that are, I don't have the number in front of me right now, but probably about 10 items if you look at it, and they're in order of kind of importance in the fiscal year. So there are a number of other things that we would like to do. Obviously, some are more important than others. If we could get the modulars for next year, that's something Mr. Norman would like. But when you have to take everything into consideration and prioritize your needs and prioritize the money. And, you know, Ms. Giant is the CFO for the school department, and Eric Demas is the CFO for the city. They have to take all factors into consideration when we do certain things. And I know that all of us, we had a great conversation today, the 7 or 8 of us that were on the call, we had a great conversation in regards to space in the future, the short-term future and the long-term future of space. And I know Mr. Norman would like to get the modulars for next year, but I can't answer what the city can afford at this time. That's something that has to work through the budget process and go through the CFO for the city, the mayor, and the city council.
well, that's why I was saying, instead of spending $2 million for modulars, do we have locations that we can use to put the students in, just in case we can't afford the $2 million for the modulars? Do we have a location that we could look at?
Through the chair, if I may try to answer that, if this is just a proposed capital improvement plan, so it's something we would send, if you approved it as a whole, to, my recommendation would be to send it to the CFO, the mayor, the chief of staff, and the city council to review, work it through the budget process, and that was something we would work out. If we thought we could find a short-term solution and use some space in the city for next year, then maybe we don't do the modulars. But if we didn't find that additional space before next year, maybe the modulars are something we want to look at. Just because you approve it doesn't mean we have to do it. We would always have ongoing conversations with the mayor's office and with the CFO and the mayor's chief of staff, you know, as in, you know, with the superintendent and Ms. Giant and Mr. Shaw and Ms. Sy and myself to make sure we're doing what's right for the city. We're not going to spend $2 million on modulars if we're only going to use them for like 1 year.
Right, right. And the other thing is, there might be buildings out there that we can lease or rent that
Right, and if I
utilize
could,
them.
Mr. Mr. Obrowski is indeed correct. We floated a lot of options, and we, again, it's an ongoing conversation. And, you know, and I think everybody's on board, understanding our needs. So right now, we don't have any definitives, but I know the team is working very, very hard. Any other questions of Mr. Obrowski?
Excuse Mr. Obrowski, customary thanks.
Second.
And I would make a motion for favorable action on item number 6 as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion is seconded for favorable action on number 6. Roll call vote.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Mayor DiMaria.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni. Madam Chair.
Yes. I have 8 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. You have so passed. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you. Item number 7 is a request approval for the request for proposals for an on-call architect or house doctor services. House doctor services refer to on-call or on-demand architectural design and consulting as needed on a case-by-case or project-by-project basis. The RFP is included in your packets. As you can see, it is quite lengthy and detailed. And the pressing need for this service is evident in Mr. Obremski's presentation regarding the capital improvement projects, things such as renovation, safety and code-related projects, HVAC work, accessibility, even some of the redesign that we're doing right now require us to go out to bid for these services.
Make a motion that we invite up Mr. Obremski.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to invite Mr. Obremski up. All those in favor? Those opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Obremski, welcome back.
Thank you.
Mr. Obremski, I apologize. I didn't realize you were going to be speaking on the next one. I wanted to excuse you. Sorry. Mr. Obremski, can you just highlight the urgent need for this proposal or this request?
Yeah, as the superintendent stated, two main priorities right off the bat are to try to reconfigure central storage here at Everett High School and take some walls down and reconfigure the space where, at the back of the Cavarian, where Cambridge Health Alliance has previously been for a number of years. After going through the short-term process and getting some estimated prices, there are some sections of the law that once you hit a threshold of over $300,000 or 30% of the architectural's fee, which one space would be approximately $300,000, the other would be approximately $400,000, but the architectural fees may go over the 10% threshold, over the $30,000 on the 300. Requires you to go to public bid, or an RFP, I'll call it, an RFP for an architectural firm. So I did talk to Mr. Mareshi through email, and his suggestion was to go out to an RFP to hire an on-call architect. We've done this in the past. We had on-call architects in the past. And when you go through the RFP process, they call it a house doctor, which mostly it's for building envelope. Originally, it started to do exterior work, windows, roofs, repointing brick, but you're able to use it for inside work also. Last time we did this, maybe 6 or 9 years ago, we actually hired 2 architectural firms to be on call in case one was too busy, or we felt one was better in one area and one was better in another area, depending on the needs. So if we go out to an RFP for this, and the superintendent puts a committee together that could score the rubric on the RFP, we could select more than one firm if we feel comfortable with more than one firm. And when a project comes up, whether we just need a price or whether we need a whole design, we already have the firms in place. Obviously, it would be 1 year at a time, if you were to do this, and it would be a total of a 3-year contract, but 1 year at a time.
Any other questions? Oh, Ms. Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to either Mr. Obremski or Madam Superintendent, I assume the architects would be on site at some points, correct? They would be on site on our buildings?
If we hired them to look at a project or to look at an area,
Yeah, the only piece I saw missing was that we didn't have the normal language we have about Corey, making sure that they comply with Corey checks and...
yeah, we would make sure they could, if they're on site, that they would comply with Corey checks and fingerprint.
Right, so I just didn't see it in the RFP. If we could add that, I would feel better that we just include that language up front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Motion is made and seconded to amend the RFP process to include the Corey check. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is made, do I have a motion?
To excuse Mr. Obremski, custom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Obremski, if you could stick around for a few more.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded for favorable action on this item. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Mayor DiMaria.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Okay, so we have 8 in the affirmative, none in the negative. We have so passed.
Thank you. Item number 8 is a...
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Madam Chairman, I have to go to the city council meeting tonight, so I'm going to We've got some new firefighters coming on, so I'm going to leave. But I just wanted to also recognize Marie Lee, who passed away. She was the director of curriculum before Janice Gauthier was. I don't know if we all knew that.
wonderful.
She's a wonderful lady. She passed away. And I also want to just recognize that Mike Matarazzo's son, Mike Matarazzo Jr., passed away also. Just if we can keep both those families in our thoughts and prayers. And I just
Yeah,
wanna-
why don't we do we can do it anytime. Let's do a moment of silence.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 8 is to request permission to go out to bid for the replacement of water fountains in the school buildings with water filling stations. We have 48 water fountains in our buildings that we want to convert to water bottle filling stations. The cost of the replacement exceeds what is covered in our contract with Richmond Plumbing, necessitating the need for us to go to seek a public bid for this project. There are a handful of reasons why these stations are better than the water fountains that most of us grew up with. But most importantly, they are more sanitary, more accessible, and more environmentally friendly.
Make a motion for favorable action?
Second. Motion is made and seconded for favorable action. Clerk, call a roll.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. 8 in the affirmative, 7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. We have so moved. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. Item number 9 is to request approval of the request for proposals for an operational audit of the Everett Public Schools that you have before you. This committee has unanimously approved a district-wide operational audit, and this is a necessary step in that process. We look forward to receiving proposals and undertaking this important work.
Make a motion, favorable action on the
Second motion.
Motion is made and second for favorable action, but I have Mr. Marcus.
Just a quick question. It's working or not. Okay, when was the last audit? Does anybody know if it's operational?
I do not know when the last, I know that there was a financial review that was done in 2018, but that's the last one I know of. However, it does include in the RFP that one of the things that they would need to do is look at any previous operational audits, financial audits, that were maybe just operational audits that we have done in the past. So we would certainly provide that information if we had it. I admit I do not know.
The reason I was asking you, because I know like in the state, they do it every 3 years to each, every department.
Actually, that's a great point. So yes, we do go through DESE audits for all of our different departments. Actually, I think we had just gone through one for special education that I've talked about in length because we had a really great reporting back on our special education department. We've also recently gone through one for our English learners department. We do have some areas of growth there that we're working on. We are also going through our accreditation process for NEASC. So yes, we do have multiple different reviews happening kind of all the time, some required by DESE and some required by NEASC. So I think that that's a great point. That would certainly be information we could provide to all of them. And I mean, I do think it's potentially worth, when we work with whoever the auditor is, discussing with them what are the things that we want them to focus more on, simply because we have these other avenues or streams to look at areas like our instruction, our curriculum, all of these other areas through DESE and these other platforms.
We're going to try to do this every 3 years, and basically.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That, if I could, that would be from the will of the body. Again, they are audited each, like every which way. But this is an audit that we requested as new members, and everybody seemed to embrace it, which I so appreciate. And it, it's just another look. That's all. I mean, again, we're not, I for one, there's nothing that I think is nefarious that's going on, but it's just always good to have another set of eyes looking at something, and we've already approved it, so I'd ask for approval.
Favorable action.
Second. Okay, thank you. We'll keep it on the back burner, and we'll see, we'll do it.
Yes, Ms. Lambert.
On the motion, I just want to ask that we correct the fourth paragraph and just note that it's 7,200 students, not
Yes.
71,000?
Yes.
And then additionally, can we just clarify who would be part of that? It referenced that the interviews would be done by a operational audit team. Would that be made up of members of administration and the school committee, or?
Yes, that's a great question, because generally when we put these out, we then create a committee that's internal to the school administration, but I'm guessing for these purposes, it would make sense to include school committee members as well.
Just for clarity's sake, I was just
of course.
asking.
And so, we do have a motion that's been seconded for favorable action. However, I want to, let's vote on the amendment first. The amendment is in the fourth paragraph to change it from 72,000 to 7,200. How'd you like that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Motion is made for favorable action on the order. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Magin.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. We have so approved. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. Item number 10 is to request approval of the GLEAM 6 through 12. That's the Growing Literacy Equity Across Massachusetts grant in the amount of $114,000. This is the latest round of grant funding we are receiving as participants in the DESE-led program entitled GLEAM, which I know I've come and spoken to you about several times over the last few months. We have talked, again, a fair amount about this project, and it is critical work aimed at enhancing our literacy curriculum, components, processes, and practices across all grade levels. Our K-8 Literacy Director, Genevieve McDonough, is taking a lead role in our considerable GLEAM-related efforts, and we are planning on Ms. McDonough presenting on this exciting work sometime during one of our May meetings. We are using this specific grant to help purchase a product or curriculum called Amplify that was decided on by a group of educators within the district. Amplify is a blended ELA curriculum to support 6th through 8th graders and prepare them for high school and beyond.
I'll make a motion to accept the grant.
Second that motion.
Motion is made in second for favorable action on the grant. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Magin.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
7-0, you accepted the grant.
7 in the affirmative. You have accepted the grant. If I could have this, Madam Superintendent, read the next item on the agenda.
Yes. Item number 11 is to request approval for On Point Academy of Dance to rent the stage at the Lafayette School on Sunday, May 1st for a dance rehearsal and Saturday, May 21st for a dance recital. This request has since been retracted because they were able to find other accommodations, so I would respectfully ask to refer this back to sponsor.
Take a motion to refer back to
Motion is
sponsor.
made and seconded
Second the motion.
to refer it back to sponsor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. Item number 12 is request acceptance of a donation of 1,162 books from Encore Boston Harbor. I would request that you move for favorable action and to send a letter of gratitude to Encore Boston Harbor for holding this book drive on behalf of the Everett Public Schools. We received the books last week during April vacation, and Library Director Mary Pulio is in the process of going through all of the books, sorting them, and distributing them to all of our schools. The donation is substantial and very diverse. The collection includes picture books, books for beginning readers, teen novels, among many others.
Make a motion to accept the donation and a letter of thanks to Encore Boston.
Second the motion.
Motion is made and seconded to accept the donation and a letter of thanks be sent to Encore Boston. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Magin.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes, we have 7 in the affirmative, and so you have passed this. The superintendent can read the next order of business.
Thank you. So moving on to Roman numeral 6, which is items submitted by school committee members. The first item is to amend the existing contract between the Everett School Department and Malden Transportation to include a 4.5% fuel surcharge, retroactive back to a starting date of Tuesday, March 1st, with an ending date of Thursday, June 30th, 2022, and this was submitted by Mr. McLaughlin. Before I pass this along, I would like to state that, as I said at our last meeting, that I would provide you with further information when we discuss this again. For each percentage increase, it is an increase of $16,500. So multiply that by 4.5, and that is what we would be paying for this surcharge. I would like to state that in my current role, I cannot recommend or advocate for this surcharge. I would like to say that this has nothing to do with my satisfaction with Malden Transportation, because I'm very pleased with Malden Transportation, and I'm heartened that all of you feel the same way. However, again, I'm just, as the steward of the district, considering the precedent that it sets and the message it sends, I believe that this is a matter that is best left to the point when we renegotiate our contract. As we've seen, we renegotiate and enter into contracts every few years, and I think that's the best time to have these discussions, because there is no way to address the skyrocketing cost of fuel reasonably and equitably amongst all of our partners and vendors. And for that matter, we just, absent a clause in the existing contract that calls for such a surcharge, I believe it is best to leave the language as it was negotiated. Again, I'm tentative to always create amendments after the fact. Things that are, if we did not address them in the contract, then to address them later, I just think sets a poor precedent. To Mr. Barros's question regarding profits, we did reach out to Malden Transportation to find out if this was a similar case as last time, where we had provided some extra support and funds in order to make sure that they stayed in service. This was something that DESE had asked for all districts to do during COVID, to make sure that our vendors stayed open during the pandemic, which we were happy to do. In this case, the answer was that their current profit margin is normally 7% annually, and with the additional fuel charges as they are, that cuts down their profit margin by 1 to 1.5%. So moving their profit margin to 5.5 to 6%. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'm sorry, Madam Superintendent, I apologize. That is more information than I knew or I've heard. That being said, I would still like to just entertain a conversation with Malden Transportation, and that's why I was going to ask to refer this to the Finance Committee for no commitment at all, to invite them to a committee meeting, which is made up of members of our body, to have a generalized conversation, to hear those types of information and additionally. So I would make a motion that we invite up the Marowitz family or a representative of Malden Transportation, and invite Anu and yourself to a Finance Committee meeting to simply have a conversation and a discussion about the matter at hand. So I would like to put that in a form of a motion.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. I have Mr. Marcus next.
I don't know. Hello? Anyway, so, last meeting, I really, and I'm taking the blame, I voted no, and then I realized I was sitting here, and I'm not making excuses myself, but I have ADD, and sometimes when you're talking about something for an hour, I see two of you, I get so I'm just saying, that's what I really made a mistake, my personal, but I've known these people for 45 years. They've been doing business with the city I figured tonight when I came here, for maybe 50 years. That's a long time, and they're very honest, and they're on their toes. They try to keep up their cars. You never have to worry about if it's snowing out. They're always here for you. And this is one of those things, the pandemic, to me, I'm looking at, it's caused a lot of upside down with a lot of things, And I think they ran into some hard times this year, and I think their fuel cost goes up and down, up, and, I think we'd be doing a good thing to helping this company a little. We're not just throwing money to them. They never ask anything, ever. I think I was on the Board of Aldermen. They came in once in 10 years for an increase in their pay, the fares. That's all I ever remembered for them coming in. And, they did business when in school. We didn't have anything to do with this. But I really believe with them, like from all my heart, I know these people. They're just honest. I'm lucky I know them, and I know what they're saying here. And I think this would be it's a good thing right now, just keeping them going. And they store fuel in the back there, so they're going to fill up a lot. The price, looks like it's going to go up again. I thought it was going to go down with the open up the reserves, but that hasn't come to yet fruition. And so if we send this to committee, and that was a good thing Mike put on, Mr. McLaughlin, and I think if we can study it and bring them up here and let them show you too, their stuff, their side of the, but I really believe in these people, all my heart. And I met a lot of people, businesses that really try to rake the city, and they never try to do that. And we always felt they were on the up and doing what was right for the people of Everett. So I hope this goes into finance. Thank you.
I have Mr. Barrows.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm glad the superintendent reached out to the company, and the company actually answered what I brought up last time. This is not about a company that is closing and we are in a pandemic and they are asking for help to close their doors. This is a company that is concerned about their profit. I don't blame them for being concerned about their profit. They are a company, they are a private company. They have to be concerned about their profit, but cannot be with money from our kids. A company that makes 7% in profit, but because of the price of the gas, is going to make 1.5%.
5.5 to 6%, because it would lower their profit by 1 to 1.5%.
So thanks for the correction. So they lower the profit by 1.5%, so we'll be making 5.5, 6%. We're talking about a private company. So when this company came to us, I realized my colleague from Ward 2 was not here in that time. When this company came to us asking for help during the pandemic, I voted, and we all voted, to pay them even though they were not delivering their services, because we did not want this company that provides a good service to be hurt, to get hurt. So we voted yes, I voted yes, to pay them in advance, even if they were not providing services, because we did not want the company to close. Now, this company so we voted and then went to City Hall, we changed the contract, we amended the contract to pay the company, even though they're not delivering the job. But because of the pandemic, we want to help the company, and I in that time, and I still think it's the right thing to do. Now this company is coming back because they are concerned that they are losing 1.5 or 2% in profit. I think it's outrageous that this is happening. I mean, again, I'm not blaming the company. However, if we are bringing a company to explain to us that they would like this amendment to keep their profit up because they do a good job, but we are not amending the contracts of our teachers, of our administrative assistants, of our paraprofessionals, of all of our educators who actually drive to work as well. Not all of them live in Everett. Even those who live in Everett also drive. Depends where they live. So they are coming to work. We are not amending their contracts. We are not giving them surcharge for gas. So they are paying the price, the 4.5, whatever it is, the price of the gas now. But then comes a company just concerned about their profit. I remember, and I end with that, so I do not be too long, and Madam Chair cut me.
I would never.
The last time, Superintendent, our CFO mentioned about revolving account on special ed, that any profit, any surplus for our transportation would go to that revolving account that would be put back towards our kids' education. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So it would be put into the stabilization fund that we created last year.
And where that money goes?
That would then be able to help to fund our students in the case of any unexpected needs that arise in the future.
There you go. But then we are concerned about giving a profit to a company when we could use that money to go back to our kids' education. I am so sorry. That's really outrageous. So I would really respectfully request, even knowing that the company does a good job, and I'll blame it. That's why I voted to give them the money in advance during the pandemic, because we need to help a good company, a company that has been with us for a long time. But a company that is concerned about their profit, just because they do a good job, but we are not giving the same thing for all of our employees who also do a good job, that's just not right. So I would really urge my colleagues to vote against this. And thank you, Madam Chair.
I have Ms. Sani.
Thank you. I'm going to second School Committee McLaughlin's motion, but on the motion, I just want to say, Madam Superintendent, did we ever find out if they got reimbursed back from the government for the money that we gave them at that time? That was a question I asked at.
Yes, that is a question that you asked, and they got a loan.
So that loan is considered a PPV, means they get a forgiven loan, means they got the money back and they got paid twice. So that's something we're going to look into and ask them, because in the committee, they can ask that question, because I work in a bank, and a lot of those loans, if they apply for them, they were called forgiveness loans, and they got the money forgiven. They didn't have to pay that loan back. So if we paid them for services that they didn't get, but also got the loan to pay those employees to stay working, that money was used for, to keep the employees working, health, the insurance, stuff like that. So I think we need to find out if that was forgiven. Some people didn't apply the loans correctly. We just took it as a loan. So that's what I think we should find out. When you have that committee meeting, I will second you for the committee meeting to find that out, and whatever else that you'd like to discuss. So, thank you.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I want to make sure that I don't bring politics into this conversation, and to allude to the fact that I would put individuals' profits before the benefit of the children of Everett is ludicrous and insulting to me as an elected official in this city. I merely suggested that we bring a company forward who has requested something from us, and to at least give them the opportunity to be heard and to express their concern or their desire to ask for this request. As Mr. Marcus said, this is a company that's been doing business for decades in this community. It's not a company that continuously comes before us and asks us for stuff like this, but it's a company that continuously gives back to this community in many ways throughout the school year, throughout the entire year. But to allude to the fact that I would put the profits of an individual before children in this city is absolutely a disgrace. Thank you.
Mr. Barrows. He's asking to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for recognizing me. I have no clue what my colleague from Ward 6 is talking about. I was giving my opinion regarding the company that is requesting for their profit. I was not alluding to anything. I was not saying that my colleague from Ward 6 was putting a profit of a company over kids' education, or it is politics. No clue what my colleague from Ward 6 is talking about.
Okay, thank you.
I was just giving my personal opinion regarding this request for this increase.
Point well taken. Both points were well taken. And motion on the floor is to refer it to the Finance Committee, although, did you want to speak? Yes, Ms. Samantha. Ms. Lambert.
I would also like to invite Mr. Donahue, and I apologize in advance, Mr. Donahue, but I think it's really important to understand the cost of special education transportation and how that can fluctuate, and why we put that stabilization fund in, because all it takes is one student moving in district that can have a significant impact, and it has happened to us prior to my time being on the committee. However, as a parent in this district for more years than I want to say out loud, it did impact our students, and it did impact our ability to fund certain programming. So with all due respect, if that does go to Finance Committee, I would like to invite Mr. Donahue from the Special Education Department as well.
Okay, I have a motion in front of me to send this to the Finance Committee, inviting representative or representatives of Malden Transportation, as well as Mr. Donahue, and of course, Madam Superintendent and her leadership team, as well as whoever wants to come, I guess. But no, seriously.
Take a roll call.
All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Barros.
No.
Ms. Lambert.
No.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. 5 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative. This matter has been referred to the Finance Committee. Okay.
Thank you. Item number 2 is the summary of an on-site visit to the Dubisky Career High School by School Committee member Mike Mangan.
Mr. Mangan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Madam Superintendent and the rest of the committee. First of all, Madam Chair, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to go down there. I appreciate it. I went down there in late March, had a great time. I wish more members were able to join me, but unfortunately that wasn't able to happen. But this particular school was very interesting because of what it had. I mean, certainly Texas and in that area in Grand Prairie, they have a lot more space than what Everett has. So, I have to take, you take that all into account, but it's how they run the system there and in what they offer. And this was, this was in the thing we voted on to, possibly build a new high school in a couple of years, which I'm 100% for. So my thinking is that I know in a few years down the road, we're definitely going to have a new high school here in the city. But we need to expand our trade programs here in the city without a doubt. And so this is one of the reasons why I started. This is the first school I visited, and I hope to visit more, and hopefully with some other members in the future. But just to get an idea of what's out there and what they're offering children, not only in the state, but out of state. And this school was recommended to me, and so I went down there, and like I said, I had about a 4-hour tour with the two ladies that were in the academy down there, and it was amazing. It's just the stuff that they offer, and I know we talked about possibly, what we have now, but also expanding it in the future and for other programs. And I just think that we owe it to our children going forward. Not everyone goes to college, as we know, like I said, but people need another path, a gateway. If they come out, instead of going to work, and no disrespect to the box stores or anything else out there, give them opportunities where they can really make a good wage and a good living, and and support their families and be able to buy a house or rent an apartment, especially in this area where it's so expensive. So having first gone in there, like I said, going around the building, and I know some of you all of you got it in the packet, and I apologize, the one that in the packet came out really blurry, but I did send, with the exception of Ms. Lewis, I did send the email out again today, so hopefully you'll be able to look at it, and it's actually, the pictures are a lot clearer. But I tell you, when you walk in to this one particular school, it was pretty amazing. And they have the spiral staircase going up, and that signifies growing and growth and so forth when you're in the school. But one of the things that I really liked, and I just hoped, and through you, Madam Superintendent, is that I really liked, and I don't know if a lot of high schools have this throughout the country, is they had a lot of, it's called soft spaces, so on the different floors. So basically is that, whether maybe the kids had a study or something, they weren't in their class, they could come out, they could work on projects together, and they sit in these areas with soft cushions and, big whiteboards, and they could work together and so forth. And it's just such a great environment. You go through there and you just see the kids, even though they're not in class, they're out there and they're collaborating together, working. So that's just something personally, that I would personally like to see in the new school going forward. And the idea is that we need to be proactive with, instead of building something and then saying we should have did this, we should have did that. We have to build the programs and offer these programs and then build the spaces around it. We need space. And I'm all for, with the new high school going hopefully down in the road, And I think the superintendent of I have talked about it many times, is possibly making this particular school into a junior high school. I don't know, maybe 7 through 9, something like that, but also incorporating trades here, at this school, like I said, expanding it. But it's absolutely amazing, and also, too, a couple of things that they do, and again, this goes to, like, union contracts and all this stuff, but their schedule is based 8:45, they go in, and they're there to 4:15. So they mirror, for the most part, they try to mirror the workforce, okay? And so, but they also, which is another great thing, I know we have a little bit here in Everett, but they really collaborate with a lot of local businesses. So whether it's veterinary, nursing, automotive, auto body, cosmetology, carpentry, plumbing, electrical, they work with so many things, so the students have the opportunity to have that hands-on. Now, I know we have some of it available here, but we need to expand it. We really, really need to expand it, and we need to, and especially, what's going on down on the other side of Broadway, I think it's called the East of Broadway project, and then the other, with the Exxon Mobil site, I don't know what's gonna be down there, but there's just so much opportunity. Like I said, for our children, how many electric companies are there? People, electricians, how many plumbers, how many HVAC things that we have? So it's just incorporating all this into, and this is just this one school. As I said to you, hopefully in the future, I'd like to go and, whether it's, out of state or in state, just to see what people have to offer and bring it here and incorporate it into a new school, maybe into a junior high school here, and just give our kids, they really, really, really deserve it. Like I said, it just, I know, Madam Superintendent, you put in the, I know you had to excuse yourself for a minute, but, in the not the contract, but this, with the statement of, what was it called? We signed a couple of weeks ago.
The school building.
Statement of interest. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lambert. There was some mention in there about, some of that expanding the trades and offering HVAC and things like that. And just, one thing is, I would just like to suggest is that a couple of things you'll see in the pictures. And again, going forward, if anybody has any questions, certainly reach out to me. But cosmetology, auto repair, auto body, and their audio visual, which was pretty amazing. And unfortunately, that really, really blew me away when I went in there, is that, and unfortunately, the pictures, they didn't come out that great. Again, the ones online that you have, that you get in the email is a lot better. But it was absolutely fabulous. So it's just, like I said, our kids deserve the best, and let's offer it to them. And Madam Superintendent, I know you support that. Like I said, we've had many conversations about this. So this is about educating ourselves and trying to get some ideas. What can we use going forward and in the right spaces? And then one of the other things, I'll leave it on this, is that their construction of this particular school, so their support, they have a lot of beams in the inside. So there basically is that they always look at, if we build something and then down the road in a couple of years we want to change it, it's not as big of a process because everything's not supported from the outside. A lot of stuff's supported internally. So they can reconstruct things a lot easier because the way the building is built. And those are just things too. So if you build a program and maybe you need more space, you can do that. If it needs less space, you can do that. So I just want to present this to you, Madam Chair. This was given to me by the two young ladies that in the academy that gave me the, I'll bring it up.
Well, is it XXL?
Do you have any extra shirts?
No.
I did bring one shirt.
That's what they gave me. But anyways, that's just the school, and that was, they gave me that shirt because that's the academy that the two young ladies were part of. And so if we could, I have the names, and I would like to at some point send them, the dean and the two young ladies back, maybe a hat or shirts from Everett High School to show our appreciation. But I really, really hope going forward that some more members can really join me and we can put a great, hopefully by the end of the year, visit enough schools that we can put a good plan together, Madam Superintendent, to really go into a high school and do something that I think would be beneficial for generations to come. So again, I want to thank you for that, and I want to thank the indulgence of my colleagues here. Thank you. And I just make a motion that if we could, unless anybody has any questions, I just make a motion to place it on file and just refer this to the superintendent's office.
Motion is, first I'd like to thank you for this golf shirt. It's, green is very dear, a color that's very near and dear to me. However, I'm XXL, and this is, I'm not ashamed, okay? So,
You can keep it in spirit.
I'm going to keep it until I lose weight, so thank you very much. And motion is made and seconded. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Motion is made and seconded to refer this, Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for going out and looking at those schools. So in the future, I'm really curious on like if we can look at even the structure of like administration and how everything kind of flows. So for example, I'm looking at like the academies and how like they have an academy lead, they have a core support, they have an assistant principal, they have a counselor. So like just looking at like the flow of it, like the responsibility and the accountability of like those individuals. And I also noticed like, for example, their goals, increase participation in student organizations. So, you know, obviously to have that, there's probably someone in charge to ensure that that is happening, or, you know, there's something inbuilt to kind of have that flow. So for example, right now we have the student advisory board. And then we have, for example, the student rep position, and then we have stuff like that in the schools. So, and also like with the additional, like to be able to collaborate with additional like companies outside of the schools. Like someone has to be in charge of that. Someone like is communicating and being that person to do that outreach. So yeah, I would look into like the staffing and the responsibility, because I know like right now we have some issues with staffing a little bit, but just looking at like what they have in place to help flow that information.
Point well taken, thank you. And again, from the chair, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the committee for taking the time out of your busy life.
And I really, honestly, whether we go out state or in-state, these are great, these are great questions that Ms. Lewis just, you know, brought out. And again, because I have my certain thoughts, but the more people we get there, the more questions that can get asked, and the more, you know, and like I said, and we can collaborate and bring it all back. We're all on the same page, and it's great. Like I said, I think it's wonderful. So hopefully we'll be on to soon this year. We talked about some other places, Madam Chair, Madam Superintendent, maybe visiting in the very near future, and then along with some in-state schools that we can take some stuff for. But the more knowledge we have, the better. Thank you.
Thanks again, Mr. Mangan. Motion is made and seconded to refer to the superintendent's office. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. What's next?
Thank you. And seeing no other items under any of the other Roman numerals, we will move on to Roman numeral 12, which is matters for executive session.
Wait a minute, bills and payrolls.
Oh, sorry. All right. Sorry. Roman numeral 8, bills and payroll.
Mr. Mangan? Here it is. Oops, sorry.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we submit bills and payroll in the amount of $1,400,679.13.
Motion is made and seconded to submit bills and payrolls in the amount of $1,400,679.13. Roll call vote?
Mr. Barros?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Mr. Mangan?
Yes.
Mr. Marcus?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Sarni?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes. We have 7 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. You have so
Madam Chair, I
moved.
move to pay bills and payroll in the amount of $1,400,679.13.
Second that motion, Madam Chairwoman?
Motion is made and seconded to pay bills and payrolls in the amount of $1,400,679.13. Roll call vote.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. 7 in the affirmative. We have so moved.
Madam Chairwoman, if I may, on a point of personal privilege, before the Madam Superintendent reads the last piece, if you would indulge me for 1 second.
Absolutely. Just so you know, the mayor already did the... Okay, go ahead.
So I was just informed that the mayor did something that I was going to do, but I come this evening with an extremely heavy heart, and I've been taking a tough weekend in my life. And I've had many mentors and friends throughout my life and throughout this community. But on Saturday evening, we lost one of what I would call a legend in this community. And I think the mayor, I've just been informed, had alluded to it, but Mr. Walter Cadillo, who passed away on Saturday evening, so unexpectedly, shockingly, touched my life in a way that I will forever be indebted to him and to his family. And I was going to ask for a moment of silence because I had heard the mayor had done that for Ms. Lee and for Mr. Matarazzo, but I believe you guys did that prior to me coming here, so I do apologize to that. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that Walter Cadillo was one of those legends that out of thousands of faculty members in the school system, he will forever be remembered as somebody who gave his heart and soul to the betterment of children and faculty alike. And for me personally, he is that man among men that will be forever remembered in my heart. So I apologize. I didn't know if the mayor had already done that this evening, but I do have an extremely broken heart over the loss of my friend, my former teacher, my mentor, and an all-around great guy, Walter Cadillo. So I do excuse me for asking for that bit. It was already done, so I apologize. But again, if we can all remember his family, his wonderful wife Denise, and his two lovely daughters, in our going-ons this week, remember that family and all that they've done for our community. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Well said. And again, it was a tremendous loss to the entire Everett community. And, the Cadillo family has been so involved and active in this community, and just great people, and it was just so tragic. But thank you again. And so now, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. Roman numeral 12, matters for executive session. We have one item, which is to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if any open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to wit, 1 Everett Teachers Association grievance.
Mr. Mangan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I make a motion that we adjourn the regular meeting, but convene in executive session, and just let the public that when we adjourn an executive session, that we will not be coming back here.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to
Reconvene.
in executive session and adjourn this meeting. Just wanted to make sure that the public understands that once we're in executive session, we will not be coming back from executive session. So basically, this meeting is adjourned, but I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
No, reconvene.
Reconvene?
Reconvene in executive session, and then adjourn in executive session.
Okay, motion is made and seconded to reconvene and adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, executive session.
Executive
Second.
session. Roll call vote.
Mr. Barrows.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes.
Mr. Mangan.
Yes.
Mr. Marcus.
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ms. Sarni. Madam Chair.
Yes. We are adjourned from the regular meeting. Thank you all and have a great evening.